If we haven't met, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, Special Education Boss, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table. And we have a weekly Ask the Advocate where we're going to answer all of your questions, IEP 504, and successful student outcomes. Cindy, we have questions ahead of time?
Yes, we certainly do. One of the main ones right now is, how can we reach you?
Yeah, so if you need to reach us or our team, if you need representation, records review, filing, you can reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com.
Another one is, somebody heard that you have 2 lives coming up. They wanted to know if it's live in person or live virtual.
Yeah, so we don't have any virtuals scheduled. We are very excited about having 2 lives in Melbourne, Florida. It's just outside of Orlando, June 7th and 8th. And July 19th and 20th, June 7th and 8th, and July 19th and 20th, same location. And you can register for those at specialeducationacademy.com. It's going to be fantabuloso, which is an exaggeration of fantabulous. So exciting, exciting. They will be live in person. So that'll be great for you guys to be there over the summer break and get ready for another amazing IEP year.
Gifter said, I haven't been here in a while. Can you give us an update on Katy ISD?
Oh my goodness. God bless Katy ISD. And they just have a severe case of, you're kidding me, right? I don't know if you can get a vaccine for that. But they seem committed to solely having paraprofessionals that are not supervised deliver the special education minutes. And you and I both know that's never going to fly with me. Certainly, paraprofessionals are such an important part of the IEP process. But the reason they are supervised by special educators is so that there is actually specially designed instruction. Here's how you know it's specially designed instruction. It's special and there's instruction. And no matter how great paraprofessionals are, aides, teachers' assistants, they're not certified special educators as required under 300.323, 300.156 in the federal code, and in Texas, 89.1131. So we're just going to keep sending in our state complaints till they choose to change this practice. So we are having a training Wednesday. Is that correct, Cindy? Wednesday, March 19th. Wednesday, March 19th. Somebody will put it in the bottom. So whether you're in Seminole County, Brewster, New York, or the Kodiak Islands, or Katy, Texas, and they're not implementing the IEP correctly, then you can join us for a live training on how to fill out an effectual state complaint to bring about change. Because that's what we want. We want change. It's not about somebody getting in trouble. It's about change because these mispractices penalize students with disabilities.
I've heard somebody talk about FOIA. How do you spell it and what is it?
FOIA. Freedom of Information Act. So it's an acronym, FOIA. And the FOIA forms are available for free in Special Education Academy. That's a membership that we have every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central. So once you become a member of the Academy, it's in your resources on your dashboard.
My son has a new IEP. They insisted on keeping his 504. I told them this is incorrect. Other than that, what do I do?
So he needs to be dismissed from his 504 plan because he has an IEP, an individualized education program. 2 different entities. So we're not having 504 meetings and IEP meetings in the year. Believe me, 1 is plenty. Thanks you guys for the gifts.
My son has had transportation in the past. He no longer needs it, but they want to keep it on the IEP. Is that okay?
Sure. So any related service that you're offering a family of a child with a disability is optional, right? Special education and related services are consensual. So transportation under IDEA is consensual. And so if parent does not consent to transportation, then we would just say in the document that the student meets eligibility for transportation as a related service, but parents decline the service at this time.
Are complaints still being processed? I've heard the complaints aren't currently being processed.
Well, I don't know what goofball told you that. We had an OCR interview a couple days ago. So everybody's at work at the Office of Civil Rights, helping out little children and people that have been discriminated based on their disabilities and denied their rights under the Rehabilitation Act of 1973.
We haven't gotten any updates from our OT this year at all, and they have scheduled indirect hours. What are your thoughts on what I should do?
Well, I'm allergic to indirect. I don't know what that means, indirect. The reason that we need related services in special education is so the student can benefit from them. I'm certainly a proponent of having both, right? Direct services for the student with a disability and then consult for the staff. But you are due the IEP as it was codified in the last annual IEP year. So don't choose to not receive those services even if they have to come in a compensatory package.
The next question about compensatory packages. My son has compensatory time. However, a much older cousin of his received compensatory time and therefore the same amount. What decides how much time you get?
Whoever helps you negotiate that outcome. It's really important that you have somebody that understands the law, the letter of the law, the spirit of the law. I was in a meeting today, I won't tell you where, Florida, and the occupational therapist said that the student was denied 21 sessions. And then she said, with great vibrato, but we don't have to make up the minutes because she's doing fine. I said, so what I'm not going to do is negotiate the law with you. The student was denied FAPE. You denied delivering the totality of the IEP as it was agreed upon, the conformity of it. And so you will be delivering those minutes. But if you don't know what you're doing in an IEP meeting, you can very easily be talked out of it if you don't understand the requirements of the law. So she kept telling me about how much she knew about the federal law. Like she just kept, like she wasn't even able to read the room. And I said, I really don't want to do this with a very young OT. And she says, what does my age have to do with that? I'm trying to, I don't know. I'm going to assume that your misinformation is because of your age. She goes, well, I'll look it up under IDEA. She said, IDEA doesn't talk about compensatory time for related services. I said, correct. It wouldn't talk about not delivering the federal requirement. It would just assume that you would. So we worked through all that joyfully. And guess what? The student's being delivered her compensatory time. Whew! It was a lot on a Monday morning. I'm like, can we just hold that sort of stuff for Thursday after lunch? Like just the first meeting on Monday mornings, can we just not like have a little decaf, maybe a croissant, maybe a schmear, some lox and a bagel? I just don't know why we have to start in with welcome to Goofy Town.
Especially after spring ahead.
Yeah, spring ahead. I lost an hour. Now I'm losing my patience. Ugh, and I'm not even a doctor. Ba-dum-bum. Isn't that right, Elena? Look at Elena in her white blouse. I like it.
If my child throws a pencil and a mouse, could she be restrained for 8 minutes without children in the room?
I mean, I wouldn't, I don't know what the parameters are. I certainly think that we need to look at the reason for those outcomes and do an FBA, a functional behavior assessment. I hate when any student is restrained, but I'm not in the room, so I certainly couldn't guesstimate how that came to be.
After months of poor behavior, I did tell parents to look into incident reports. How can they pull incident reports?
Well, they should already be in receipt of incident reports. If there is an incident that you had to document, the school has a legal obligation to deliver a copy of it within 24 hours.
What is your opinion on having an inclusion teacher that is split between 2 different classes?
I mean, if her schedule allows it, I mean, obviously she can't be serving 2 classes in the same class period, but there are certainly inclusion teachers that in the morning help with English and then in the afternoon help with another content area.
My school wants to trial a different setting before making it permanent in an IEP. Is that okay?
I mean, it's not unheard of. I mean, we certainly want to look at other opportunities that enable the student to make progress and growth. So when I have kiddos that have behavior concerns or behavior needs, often if they have been in a really supported classroom and they're successful and that we're going to begin to trial out time, we might talk as a committee and say that we think that he would be successful starting in science or social studies, but we're going to trial that instead of, if you put it in the paperwork, you're bound by that. So we do trials often. Thanks, you guys, for the gifts.
There's an update. The teacher for inclusion time is 2 classes within the same period.
That's unless she has cloned herself, that would be illegal. And that's not her fault. That is the leadership that's making her do that.
My daughter's school did not report restraints of my daughter to the state. Is that something they must do?
Restraints to the state?
The daughter was restrained. Do they have to report that they restrained a child to the state?
Who in the state would you report that to? Schools have no obligation to report anything to the state. If they're audited, they certainly have to respond to the request from the Department of Education. But certainly we don't have millions and millions of schools reporting everything that happens with a student all day long. They certainly have to report it to the parent. It has to be in the student's record and accessible by all that have a legal right to know.
Should a student have been receiving tiered math instruction in order to receive a math goal?
No, you only receive an IEP goal if you are a student that receives special education services, and it's a critical area of need that we have identified in the present levels.
A student has an IEP, but that student has been hitting me every day, but won't get in trouble. Why is this?
Well, I don't know why we don't have a response for a student that has a behavior that impedes his learning or the learning of others. If I was a teacher and that was going on and my leadership didn't protect me, the student, and other students, I would probably call Child Protective Services.
We need the dates for the 2-day live in person again.
Yeah, so it's the 2-day in person, June 7th and 8th, and July 19th and 20th in Nassau, Florida.
What is your opinion on giving students reassessments?
Reassessments?
Reassessments.
Do you mean reassessments because they didn't do good on their math test? Or do you mean reevaluations under IDEA?
Good question, and I'll look for it. It's from Sarah Ann.
Sarah Ann Marie.
Yes.
So she said yes. So is the yes for a math test or reevaluations for eligibility? What do I think about kids being tested over and over again? I think it's baloney. So when I was in school and I got a C, I got a C. I think that we have put this ridiculous pressure on teachers, and leadership demands that they pass students. I do 500 IEP meetings a year. I don't have a single student that's not on the AB honor roll. So now such an important piece of data is really often useless for us.
What is the criteria for having a paraprofessional?
There's a need. A paraprofessional can support anybody in the school district. It's not solely special education. It's most often that. But when there is a need to support IEP goals in a general ed setting, there has to at least be a paraprofessional because the general ed teacher is the general ed teacher.
I pass students all the time in the lunch line.
But yeah, I always got an A in lunch. Believe me, I was a valedictorian in lunch and recess. Neither one of those are a state standard, but if they were, I was a winner.
If a pre-K student is absent, blocked it, but still making progress towards goal, do they get comp service?
If a student is absent, then you can't deliver the IEP. Compensatory time is when the IEP wasn't delivered and the student was available.
My first time here, my district wants aides to replace all in-class support teachers. Is this legal?
Oh, you must be in that school district we were talking about earlier. Of course it's not legal. Of course it's not legal. Special education is federally and state funded. So If you're not going to provide special education, I don't have a problem with that. But send back the money. Uh-oh, we have a flash goal. Uh-oh.
What is it?
We need 20 gifters in 15 minutes. Okay, you guys did so good last week. We just need 20. I'm so excited. Okay. There's one.
There are, yay! If there are, oops, it went away. If there are procedural pieces that are overlooked that cause incidents to the student, how would I respond?
So, I mean, you have to share the data with somebody that can bring about change, right? So, first things first is we want everybody to be safe. Teachers, staff, principal, bus drivers, students, general ed students, paraprofessionals, special ed students, 504 students. That's primacy that we're all safe so learning can happen. If you're not being supported by your leadership, which we hear every day from everyone in every state, that's one of the reasons teachers are leaving. Teachers aren't leaving because of advocates. Teachers are leaving because it's not a fulfilling workplace. And we know that teachers don't work there because of the money. They do it because it's the love of their serving these kids. But I'm not the one that makes schools a not nice place to work. And when I hear about what happens to teachers, it's just, I can't even believe that people put up with it.
Okay. I would like to do that without offending the staff.
Yeah, and I don't know what offending the staff means. When you're an educator or a paraprofessional or the principal, you have you're bound by ethics. You're bound by ethics. And so bad things continue when nobody will stand up for the truth. And I understand that because my job is to talk about uncomfortable truths in a way that people keep listening. Being uncomfortable is part of the human experience. I don't know why we would think it's not part of the human experience because we have matching baseball shirts, jeggings, and Kendra Scott earrings and are all teachers. So tell the truth if we want change.
The school gave my daughter's evaluation report to me with another child's name all throughout it. What can I do and what are your thoughts?
Well, I would ask for a new evaluator to do all the new testing. That's unacceptable. Okay, we're up to 3 out of 20 and we have minutes left. So we need new gifters. Oh, good. There's Clarissa. Yes.
And I see that some of them are different from ones that I've seen before. So I'm eager to see them. Ooh. Is it legal in Texas to consolidate 2 different units into one classroom?
Is it legal or is it appropriate? It's not illegal. There are many things that are completely wrong that aren't illegal. Like often in schools now, we're seeing the life skills class being combined with the behavioral unit. We all know that's not appropriate.
Is there a procedural piece that are, oh, I'm sorry, that's a duplicate. We have to gather data for at least 9 to 12 weeks before sped testing. Is this accurate? I think I've heard you say it's not true.
It's not even not true. It's illegal. So let's just break it down. The foundation of special education is 300.111. And it says the LEA, the local education agency, has an obligation, duty, and responsibility to ILE, identify, locate, and evaluate children with suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education related services. That's all it says. This jacked up practice of MTSS, SST, UPS, OPI, RTI, it just penalizes students, and it's disgusting. And there's an OSEP letter, January 2011, that says stop doing that, school districts.
Can you put in for an intra-district permit because the only sped teacher at the school is terrible?
You can put in for a transfer, knowing that that's contingent on 2 people, the principal that you're wanting to leave and the principal that you're wanting to receive your student. You'll also have to do that transfer every single year. There's no guarantee that it will keep happening. So I very much caution people on doing that. I would rather get this fixed than have my kid on the run.
Any advice on special needs preschool?
No. I mean, ECSC, so special needs, so preschool and ECSC are two different things. So preschool is offered by some schools in some states for a specific population that are not at kindergarten or first grade age. ECSC, early childhood special education, are for students who have a developmental, a communication, a cognitive, a functional need, and at least have a speech impairment. So they're two different things. I think that they're both a gift if that's appropriate for your family.
Do 504s require further or different evaluations after being found ineligible when given a diagnosis?
Well, so a 504 is that you have a diagnosis, a disability, or a disorder, and you are in need of accommodations. So you could have one of those three things but not need accommodations. Therein is the difference.
Hello, I'm a school psych here. There's a lot of us here. I'm a fan of yours, and so is everybody else.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, for those of you that sent me a message, we are on, we put out content on 7 platforms every day. I would love to tell you that we get all of your messages. So the best way is just to send it straight to our office, which goes to our manager, and go send it to advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We'll for sure get that.
I need an advocate. I don't want just any advocate. How do I get you or someone like you?
So if you want myself or one of our partner advocates that are full-time, you would email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We are ridiculously amazing.
RA. The school won't give me any raw data sheets like you told us to get. What do I do now? The director said she would be, quote unquote, in touch. She hasn't touched me yet.
She hasn't touched me yet. So I would send her the statute 300.613 that requires that you release records to parents. I wouldn't ask the school for it, and I wouldn't ask the special ed director. I would take a FOIA request, the form that we have in Special Education Academy under resources, fill it out, 2 of them. I would drive them to wherever legal is at your school district, county, or city with my driver's license and say, this is day 1. I am requesting my students' records. And then that starts a timeline for 45 calendar days.
Someone would like to know, what is your name?
It is Karen Mayer Cunningham. So far, it's Karen Mayer Cunningham. If there's another husband, I'm just going to add on the last name. Have you ever been to the driver's license plates?
Do school districts need to do an IEP for a student with a medical diagnosis?
No. They need to do an IEP testing if they suspect a disability that impacts them in a way that they'll need special education.
Can you tell me where to find info about needing an SI qualification for ECSE?
I don't know where you would find that specific information. There'll be, each state has their own state statutes. But that's always been the driving eligibility, even when it was PPCD, preschool preparation for children with disabilities. All of those students, which also needs to be a factor if you're deciding if that's right for them, because it is not a language-rich environment. All of them have a speech impairment, and the speech pathologist pushes in and provides services.
Someone would like to know about your training. They can't attend the 2-day live. What other things do you have?
Yeah, so we have a myriad of digital products. So we have the 2-day intensive, it's just on demand. And so you purchase it and you have it, and you can have Karen ringing in your ears forever and ever and ever. And then we have digital products about state filings, federal filings, how to write an IEP, whichever components that you need to have more training on.
I just got my son tested. I have a scheduled ARD on the 16th. What should I ask?
Well, you probably don't have one on the 16th because that would be Sunday. But that means that you are in Texas. If you have an ARD, an admission review and dismissal, so I would ask for, but you're probably on break right now, but I would ask for a full draft copy of the IEP document, full draft copy of the IEP document, not just parts of it. Without the full draft copy of the IEP document, it's unlikely that I'll be able to fully participate and be informed, and we may have to reschedule. So I certainly have the draft document ahead of time. And then write your questions down about the evaluation, the present levels, the goals, the accommodations, the least restrictive environment, and the placement.
Oh, I love this one. Do you think para-educators should be paid more?
I think we need to redistribute the money in school districts. I saw a training the other day that used to, 30 years ago, it was one teacher to one administrator. And now nationally it's one teacher to 4.3 administrators. We need to get people out of administrating, whatever that means, and into working with children. And all my teachers just said, amen.
Amen. When I was little, I got help when I was struggling. I noticed that my child doesn't get help because he's not on the 504 or in special education. Why is this?
I mean, I don't know. Have you done special education testing? That's going to be the first thing that you need to do.
Here's the truth. Administration can make or break an environment.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is it legal for a special education teacher to provide specialized academic services without education?
Well, the service is an education. So special education is education. So whether it's functional, communicative, vision, hearing, emotional, social, vocational, all of those are part of the education process.
Let's see. The school won't give me any raw data. Oh, that is asked again. I apologize. Our SPED teacher isn't working full days. And paras are pulling most of the groups. Are IEPs then being followed?
So it's not about whether or not being followed. They're not qualified to do it. So I really like people, but I'm not qualified to do brain surgery. I'm not qualified to start an IV. I'm not qualified to diagnose what's wrong with your engine. But people that have been trained to do that can do that. So unless you're going to file a state complaint, which we have trainings on, we have a state complaint digital training that you can invest in. We have federal complaint trainings you can invest in. If you're not going to file on those things, I promise you, listen to me, nothing is going to change. So when good people do nothing at a legal level to bring about change, everything's going to stay the same. It's not, the schools are not going to stop that practice if they've put it in place.
A student is in regular education with maximum resource. Is it legal to move that student to adapted curriculum without a meeting?
So there's no such thing as maximum resource. That's like hairspray or lipstick. You can have as much as you want. It's not called adapted curriculum. It's an alternative curriculum, right? It's a functional curriculum. And you have to assess the student's critical needs and what are their unique circumstances. I would certainly be very cautious before I did that and make sure that we have delivered special education in the least restricted environment, and it has not been successful. Somebody said, where is she located? She is located in Houston, Texas. If I'm the she, there might be other she's. There might be she's everywhere.
You're the she.
The she.
Is it mandatory to keep written data for FA students?
SA students?
F as in Frank, A as in Apple.
I'm not sure what your FA stands for.
Maybe Chantel?
I mean, I think it's functional academics, but that's I don't like to assume unless it's about my first husband. But
Okay. Me. RTI shouldn't be a reason to deny services?
What's illegal? January 2011 OSIP. Search it up, kids. Search it up.
Public school schedules random virtual days and parents are expected to deliver direct instruction. Help!
No, well, parents aren't the LEA. They're never going to be the LEA. They don't work at the LEA. So I don't know why you guys have agreed to virtual days. You know what's going to happen if my kids are at home? We're going to have some Totina's pizza rolls and a bunch of soda and watch meaningless TV. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I'm not a teacher. God bless teachers. But teachers deliver education and special education and 504 services.
My daughter with ADD and dyslexia was denied an IEP and a 504 because she is quote unquote too smart for extra help.
Well, smart has nothing to do with if you have an educational need. So you can have lots of students that have an IEP that don't have an academic goal. It's so gross when somebody says your kid's too smart. Somebody just said, can you tell me the best districts around Houston? I can tell you there's only one district in the entire United States of America that I will not take a client from, and that is from Houston Independent School District. I will never take a client from there until they have a complete overhaul of their 250,000 children. What they do is egregious. Districts are run by people, and so there are amazing people in the districts, and there are people that should work, I don't know, somewhere else. And so that's forever moving. There's something good in all districts, I believe, except for currently Houston Independent School District. And I'll stand on that. I'll stand on everything that I said, won't I? In an easement, in Chipley, Florida, wherever.
In heels.
In heels and pantyhose. You gotta wear pantyhose if you're gonna let the people know you're standing on business.
With police units behind you.
With the popo. The popo never get close. And we could take a photo. They don't want any of this smoke.
No, they're smart enough to stay back.
They are.
Yes. As a parent, what can I do if the admin doesn't want my child to have an aide and he does have a one-to-one right now? Can they take it away?
So, it's not about them taking away or stopping things. We live by two things. What does the law say? What does the data show? If the data, you can provide me data that's graphable, printable, screen shareable, and I can see where you got your reasoning, then I can't go against that. But if you're just going to stop it because you want to, we're not doing that. So the law is very clear. It's been very clear since December 2nd, 1975. We need to have robust data for districts or parents to make recommendations for change in the IEP committee. Rarely do I get a new IEP that I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. So Jane asked about New Caney or Humble ISD. So Humble ISD is a monster school district. I think they have maybe 9 high schools. It is ginormous. New Caney has a really good chicken place. When a parent brings me into any district, it's because they're having challenges. But I have never met a parent that didn't need an advocate. So when I go in, we're going to have successful IEP meetings. It might take a minute to get there, but that's what's going to happen. I don't end up with non-successful IEP meetings, except for a few, which then would go to hearing. But that, when you have a good advocate, they're going to be able to come alongside you in any district and get what's right for your student.
My son's teacher does not have any certifications according to the state website after I figured out how to look. What do I do?
Well, first of all, stop calling him a teacher. Oh, I know that hurts some people's feelings. They're an employee. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they're not certified teachers. And here's the good news. Are you listening? This is good news. You either are or you ain't. I am not a teacher. There's no gray area. But you guys are buying into this gray area and you're calling people teachers that aren't, would you call them doctors? Would you call them a CPA? And so you're either certified and qualified to have taken on the job assignment that the school district posted. You should know that school districts, along with their superintendents and their attorneys and their HR, have no problem hiring non-certified people. They have no problem putting people in danger. They have no problem denying kids an education, and they're doing it all day long. So I would think if I was a human and I accepted a job, that my school district knew that I qualified for that role, but that's not always the case.
Please tell me the website again where I can get digital repertoire.
Oh, our website is specialeducationacademy.com. Repertoire. I feel like that's like I'm going to do a plie. The repertoire.
Oh, I might be able to plie, but I won't be able to get plie up.
No, I'll be plied. I'm plied out.
How long can a school trial a reverse mainstream for a student before talking about other placements?
So there's no such thing as, we've just made some reverse mainstream. The word mainstream is not in IDEA. Reverse, inverse, upside down, left, northwest. We have a requirement called the least restrictive environment. And we are charged with educating students with disabilities to the maximum extent possible with their non-disabled peers. Nowhere in that section, statute, or regulation does it say the word general ed. It doesn't say that. So we are constantly looking at, is this setting appropriate based on the student's unique circumstances?
I'm learning more here than I have in the last 4 years, says Sarah Ann Marie.
Oh, good. That's why we do this. We want you guys to be even smarter pants. And as we all know better, we have an opportunity to serve kids at the highest level. We just care about one thing in Special Education Academy: successful student outcomes. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. And when we don't have it right for the child, it's not right for anybody.
What is the academy?
Life-changing. So it's weekly professional development, every 7 days, year-round, so that you can address your needs as they're happening. What you don't get back is time. And when you get out of a legal IEP meeting, you can't go around and ask your friends for a couple months and fix it. So you need this to be fully trained in your rights as a teacher, as a parent. Over 3/4 of the people that we serve are actually educators, because there is no education that's substantive given to teachers about the delivery of special education, their obligations, and their duties.
I have to know the rest of this question. My son started kindergarten, and his school said that he has to do general education before he can, and it ended.
Before he can, he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything. We are obligated to educate students in public schools. We need to get rid of the have to and get back to work. Like, stop. That is when you pull out your pool noodle from the Dollar General and whack people. I mean, just like in your mind. You don't actually do it. Yes, I recommend an advocate for IEP meetings. You are going into a legal setting, and here's what we hear from parents. I don't want anybody to not like me. This is not about liking you or not liking you. If your child was going back for surgery and some guy goes, I've seen this done on TV before, wish me luck, would you let them take your child back? No. And I know that a medical intervention and an educational intervention are equal. And we are believing in people because they have a certification that they have knowledge about that area of the law. I assumed in 1997, when I started this process with my child, that the special educator in front of me knew special education law, that the principal in front of me knew special education law, that anybody in that room, diagnostician, LSSP, social worker, knew special education law. They don't. They know principling, they know teaching, they know diagnostics, they know assessments, but I'll give you $100 if you can hold up a picture of the federal code at your school. Like, we'll give you $100 off any of our products. You send me a picture that your principal has a copy of the federal code. You shouldn't even be allowed to teach a child, whether a general ed teacher or special education teacher, without the school providing you a copy of 34 CFR volume 204. It's just craziness that we have more training for people that change oil in cars about their vocation than we do for special education teachers. And that is not the teacher's fault. That is solely leadership. They could provide them the education, but then they might know the truth. And then what would happen?
Okay, here I go with this one. I'm a case manager in California. The team recommended a COP from Gen Ed, RSP, to SDC Ed. The district denied COP with no PWN.
I don't know. I don't think COP is COP, Cindy.
Okay.
So I don't. So I mean, you have procedural rights and safeguards. We did a huge series on your procedural rights, how to file on those in the academy. It stays in there in a series. If you don't exert your procedural rights, you don't have them. Did you hear me? If you don't exert your rights, you don't have them. And one of your rights is to file a state complaint to get it addressed. Sitting around visiting about what we don't like at the volleyball game or at Aldi's or after church brings about zero change, which is why we are training you on how to file state complaints with efficacy. Somebody's asked a bunch, what happens if a parent loses due process to the school district? They have 90 days to appeal that decision.
Okay. IEP was on, an annual IEP was on Google Meet. They were 30 minutes late and we asked to reschedule and they did it without us. What can I do?
You can file a state complaint that you were denied your procedural rights and minimum a meaningful participation in the IEP process. So the book that I'm referencing is on our link tree. So if you go to the top of this TikTok, it is the special education book. It is a black book with gold lettering. I would reach it, but it's out of reach. It will change your life. It is where the federal law is, and the school is obligated to follow the law, whether they know about them or not. So, Cindy or Elena, can you put that thing in the deal of the thing? Of course you can.
The OCR book or Code of Federal Regulation?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here's our last question, boss. Who is responsible for creating this specially designed instruction?
The special educator. I mean, it's very simple. Specially designed instruction is the same word as special education. A general ed teacher is not a special education teacher. They're a general ed teacher, right? So we work together, but that SDI is initiated with the special education teacher working with the student. So if you're the case manager and you've never seen the student all year and you collect paperwork and visit with people, that is irritating. It's not specially designed instruction, and it's illegal. And you're penalizing the student. It's just gross that we take state and federal funds for special education and we don't deliver it. And for me, it's always going to be unacceptable, whether you like me or don't like me. It's not going to change my position on serving kiddos. So we love you guys. Please join us on March 19th. It's open to everyone. We'll be doing a free training on special education state complaints. And then you can avail yourself. I think our special education state complaint digital product is $97. It's a very small investment so that you can file state complaints with efficacy, because most state complaints are dismissed because they don't meet the state standards of identifying a legal violation. So we love you. Keep doing all the things that you're doing, and we'll see you guys in the next training.